Well, to start off, I share with you guys, today is my birthday. 35. So let's hope that we can make a fantastic spring day out of it. All right. I mentioned to you guys before that there are a couple of things that I wanted you to get a grasp on regarding, say, certain domains that you're going to be using regardless of what space or scale or discipline you're working on. We decided yesterday that we're going to be discussing a couple of issues. You guys know you'll be having the urban metabolism workshop coming up soon, the urban resilience workshop coming up soon. This will probably be it's probably next week and then the week after that. This week Friday we're going to be having a workshop together with basically all guys on Haiti. So we call it basically introducing Haiti with people from both care and coordinate. So the shelter managers will be here. Then you'll be getting, let's say, Jeremy will be putting together a curriculum which you can see the slides and schedule more confirmed, or we're just waiting from the people to get some confirmation on dates. And there are two, let's say, bodies of knowledge that you guys need to get to somehow use that regardless of which workshop you're dealing with in your content. One of them is what Thorsten will be covering, which basically is on integrated resource management. And these are a series of, I think, about 4 or 5 lectures, which we're going to try to plan for you guys all next week. So that you guys in one go will be getting like a big body, like probably on the Tuesday and the Thursday. I'm just throwing some dates out here, but 2 days or 2 blocks of 2 hours where you're going to be getting these lectures from him. So we're going to be covering all different facets that he's dealing with, the waste and energy and water and material and what have you. So agriculture, energy, so he's got all of those things there to give you guys a background of what is in the field, so that you already know that these are aspects that are existing. Now, I want to cover with you guys a couple of things, which is basically in and around the theme of, it's called the production of space. And I could have also called this lecture series the spatial dimension, because this is also very much what we're basically dealing with, where I'm going to be breaking it down to a series of things, of being, one of them being what we're going to start with today, on space and society. And another very important one we're going to be dealing with is on space and economy. So that you start to understand at a certain point how space, if you put space, society, and economy, basically production, are in constant dialogue with one another. There is not one without another. There is no virtual economy that is not spatial. There is no social activity that is not spatial. I will even challenge you, can you even imagine in your mind or in your dreams a social moment that is not spatial? Try it for a moment. Just try in your head to imagine, whether it's a dream or this, just doesn't matter. Try imagine in your head a social moment that is not spatial. Does anyone find one?
Internet space.
The internet space, you just called it? even, okay, go on, let's go internet space. What happens there?
And you go to a virtual place.
Yeah, but where are you?
Behind a computer.
Yeah.
But still in an area, but...
And what's happening, so you're behind the computer, and you're just a person who's, like I'm in this room, so I'm here now. I'm in this room. So you're also going to person, you're going to sit behind the table, and you're going to say, okay, I'm in this space now, a balcony, and you want to go and you want to start having a dialogue. So you're going to go open your computer, and you start to engage in a conversation. Now, what happens when I start having a chat with my friends in the Caribbean? To what extent is my presence still here? Or to what extent another simpler example, we have now that internet, but when you were walking on the street and you're just, going from A to B, and your friend calls you, and you're suddenly there, oh yeah, you're talking, you're chatting for like 20 minutes as you're going to wherever you're going. I mean, where have you been for the last 20 minutes? I mean, how much did you pick up of this? How much did you actually pick up of a complete other virtual space? So, getting into the virtual dimension of space is something that at this time wasn't there. This is so the writing, what I'm sharing to you guys about, what I'm going to lecture you guys about, so you know a little bit also so the background behind what third space tries to introduce is about physical space, physical realities. The digital spatial world creates a whole nother layer of complexity, which if you guys want, we can get into in a month or two from now, if you've been able to grasp the physical space one. Because it's really going to be the future. Because with Second Life and with other things kind of merging both digital and real world, we're going to get to a place where we definitely, and with this whole movie of Avatar, we're really in physical space, we're actually making digital representation. I think at a whole other level of, let's say, how we relate, how we deal, and our merging physical and digital will take place. So I want to deal with you guys just on a couple of very fundamental, basic stepping stones regarding these issues of space, which we're going to go slowly as we go, create more complexity, more depth, based a little bit on where you guys are focusing on. Now, to start off with, the word third space, I mean, not already, I guess, is something slightly vague. But Edward Soja, a social geographer from UCLA, he introduced this term third space. And he says here, well, you call it third space, but you can actually call it anything you want. What he's just saying here is it's a purposely tentative and flexible term that attempts to capture what is actually a constantly shifting and changing milieu of ideas, events, appearances, and meanings. So what he shares here is that this third space, this kind of space he's trying to give a word to, is something that is in constant shift. It's constantly being reformed also. So it's not like it just shifts because of the way we use it, but it also shifts in the way we think about it. So the ideas and events and appearances, all of that is a constant transformation. So why is he throwing us at this word third space? Well, it's the title for his book, which basically was one of his book which was written shortly after the Los Angeles riots, 92, which we're going to get into later. So this book which was written is in fact what one would call a kind of a contemporary translation of an older book written by Henri Lefebvre, which in my mind I think was around 60s, 70s, I think late 60s, early 70s, this book was written, where he talks here about the production of space. And this book is a fantastic book, which I would not advise any master's student to read. But a PhDer I would maybe suggest, because it starts getting very, very in-depth on certain aspects. And it's been written not as an architect or an urbanist, but basically as a theorist, as a philosopher, as a writer, and a critic of the city. So what third space offers us, which I would suggest to a master's student, would be to say, well, here's a chance to read a kind of contemporary translation, which is a little bit more up to speed with our own thinking of this time from Edward Soja. So what he starts to talk about here, and so the question of why are we introducing this concept of space? By the way, if you want this, I have a PDF, a small paper called Hidden Places, Hidden Powers, which I wrote for the Visualizing Invisible book, which I'm going to give you guys as a digital version, so you don't have to buy the book. If you want, I can also give you guys this as a PDF, so that you don't have to spend too much time writing this, but can write more things that are coming to your mind and that you're thinking about as you're absorbing this, so you don't have to copy all the quotes, for example. So the idea of this is because, why is it just on space? Because space, and what he calls here the spatiality of human life, we know it as this. Place, location, locality, landscape, these are where our spatial dimension finds itself. And these are just basically different terminologies, different ways of talking about the same thing, whether it's a territory, a region, or a landscape. It's all dealing still with the spatial component. Now, why is it important to talk about the spatial component? Because we have, for example, what we know, what we can call a house, which is a quite simple thing to kind of define, to represent. So this is the house. If we have many houses together, do we then create a neighborhood? And if we have plots of neighborhoods, is it then that we have city? And if we have clots of these cities, is that what we then call region? The question that Eduardo is posing is that, is it all this simple? Is it really a question of just one and one and one and one and one, and we just kind of see that it's just a multitude and upscaling? Or is there some more kind of complexity taking place? Well, when you start scaling up and when you start introducing multiple houses, multiple activities, multiple regions, you start getting something with, we've been talking about in the past, and you guys may be aware of the terminology of 1 + 1 is 3. Right? So basically, the total is more than the sum of its parts. Well, Kevin Kelly, this book is in our library, by the way, he says, hold on, 1 + 1 is 3. You wish. Just 1 + 1 is apples. What do you think he's trying to say with 1 + 1 is apples? I have an idea.
You create something with a whole other context. It's not because 3 are still numbers. If you're saying apples, then it just can be anything that you're thinking about.
Exactly.
It can be the result.
Exactly. Because 1 + 1 is indeed 3. It's more than the sum of its parts. But he's saying no. 1 + 1. Once you start putting two things together, anything can start to happen. Any ranges of possibilities can start to happen. It's not just that it's more, it's just that two houses become two houses. No, there's a whole layer of complexity that these 1 and 2 will start to relate with each other that will open up whole new doors and new channels. When you put two different things together, or two of the same things together, you're not just going to get more of the same. It's not just house, neighborhood, city, region. Something else starts to happen to the system. A nice way to look at this as a very physical way is about the whole idea of upscaling. This is a wonderful thing which I picked up in AA. You guys ever made paper planes? Yeah. Yeah? Small paper planes. So how do you make them? You just take paper, fold it together, you throw it. And what's the biggest plane you ever made? You use like an A4?
Try to use paper from the journal paper,
yeah,
from the daily paper.
Like something like that?
Yeah, and then it's getting more tough.
Okay. So, and that, why was it getting more tough? What was different?
Yeah, because it's probably heavier.
Okay.
I don't know, but yeah.
The journal,
and
I mean, you
the
mean like a
strength of the
newspaper?
paper is, yeah, a newspaper.
Okay, so let's say the strength of the paper is weaker.
Yeah.
So let's say we have the same paper, the same A4. So this A4.
Yeah.
Can I make a paper plane from this?
Can, but it will not travel as far as a small one.
Or could be, I don't know. So if I want to have a piece of paper, same quality paper, that size, is that board? Will it play? Will it fly? Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, maybe this is, I don't know. So if I had another piece of paper, let's just take it another level, 50 by 50 meters. Same paper. Will it fly? Why not?
It's not stiff. Okay.
Something in the relationships between the whole and the part, in other case the thickness or the strength, starts to shift. So you can't just use the same concept and just keep on extruding it and hope that it's going to work. It just collapses. You kind of throw it. So there is something that starts to happen when scale starts to go, that just shifts how things start to happen and what starts to happen. It's like something that we don't really consider because we expect it and we don't understand what are some of those hidden relationships that starts to take place that somehow reconfigure our understanding and our logics. So this is a fundamental thing, and this is on anything, whether it's about termites, whether it's about cities, whether, I mean, scale just starts to reorganize. And especially when you start adding many things together, you can imagine with a city, oops. Right. Is it my cable?
No.
Oh.
Same thing here.
Just go one back. Okay. So, what was was then the motivation that